All right, so good morning. It is Monday, December 21st, 2020. This is African American Studies. I'm your instructor, Mr. Townsend. So in our class, we've been looking at or studying different figures from Black history. I tried to bring you some different perspectives from slavery up to Jim Crow, up to enslaved insurrections was the last things that we studied, and then abolitionists. So let's look at our agenda for today. Okay. Who else is here? Okay. Oh, it just keeps jumping around. All right. Okay. So our agenda today is we want to be able to, when you're done, I want you to be able to define this word entrepreneurship. We're going to review our summit, our checkpoints that are due to this day. Our presentation is going to be on Madam C.J. Walker today. We'll have a short class discussion, and the exit slip's more probably going to be a checkpoint at some point. And the main goal of today is for you to be able to define the word entrepreneurship. Without going any further, has anyone ever seen that word before?
What you say?
The word that's on the bottom of the screen there, entrepreneurship. Have you ever heard this word before?
Yeah.
What does it mean? What makes someone an entrepreneur or not? What makes an individual an entrepreneur?
Starting their own business.
Okay, good, Zaire. Starting their own business, that's part of being an entrepreneur. Anything else? Is it just starting your own business that makes you an entrepreneur? A lot of entrepreneurs do start their own business. That's like the core meaning of the word.
It's a person who organizes or operates a business or businesses taken or greater than normal financial risk in order to do it.
Good. That's great. That's a really good defined, excellent definition. Operates. You have to have the financial acuity or the ability to run it. And usually, entrepreneurs are people who are self-made. Everybody can work for a giant company. It's easy to, I'm not, and if anybody has that job, don't feel degraded in any way. It's probably pretty easy to get a job at Walmart, right? It may be pretty easy to get a job at a service center or, a local place. It's not that hard to get a job from a giant company per se, right? Usually an entrepreneur is someone who builds a business when they don't have the opportunities. For our subject matter, because it's Black history, and we studied how Jim Crow, how the disproportionalities in society had caused a harder system for people who were of color. And if it was harder for men, believe me, it was a lot harder for women. So we're going to learn about a woman today. Her name was Madam C.J. Walker. Has anyone ever heard of Madam C.J. Walker?
Yeah, she was the first Black person who did the hair product and the straightened.
Okay, good. So you guys have some familiarity with who she is. She lived from 1867 to 1919. To put that in perspective for you, the Emancipation Proclamation was written in 1863. So her parents were slaves. So she was actually born into slavery, a state of slavery. She had just missed a cutoff for the 13th Amendment. But I know for a fact that her parents were considered slaves. Okay, Alicia said I used to pick her every year in elementary school for Black History Month projects. Good. Then at least I picked somebody that we have some familiarity with. So that's a good one. I just wanted to find somebody that defined that entrepreneurial spirit and who overcame obstacles as a Black woman. We did a couple, man. We did Nat Turner, we did John Brown. So I wanted to balance it out a little bit and do some from the female perspective because Black history is all history, not just the men. Harriet Tubman was considered a general. She probably freed more slaves than any man did. But there was a balance. It wasn't just men that were making these changes, it was women also. She was born, her name was Sarah Love Breed. She is considered the first Black female millionaire in the history of the United States, which is quite of an achievement. And you also have to look at the time period that she was born. Remember, women didn't even get the right to vote before she died. Women got the right to vote in 1920. So this is a woman who operated $1 million company, who never had the right to vote in her own country. She made her fortune by creating hair care products for Black women. I think it was some type of growth, a pomade. Get me right, ladies, if you've done this before with her, you should have some type of experience with her knowledge. But I believe it was a pomade for the women's hair. It was called the Walker system. She had experienced her own battle with hair loss. So she created this system to help Black women in particular who were losing their hair regain the use of their hair. I don't know if it was some type of alopecia or something like that, or had something to do with the texture of the hair and the treatments. But I did put a section here about the Walker system. So there's one article here on top that's just up, that's for you. This just gives you an overview. I'm not going to read, of course, read that all in class. Where'd it go? That is up to you. Okay, I'm not able to screen share for some reason. Hold on. Did that come back up, the PowerPoint? It said I was unable to share.
Yep.
I don't know why. But this is just this article above is for your edification. It's for you to read if you want to find some more details out about Madam C.J. Walker. So we're going to watch a short, it starts off with her early life, I believe. So let me go over to here.
Sarah Breedlove was born on the 23rd of December, 1867, on a cotton plantation
Sorry about that.
near Delta, Louisiana. Her parents, Owen and Minerva Breedlove, as well as her 5 older siblings, were born into slavery, working on Robert W. Birney's Madison Parish plantation. Eventually, the family became free and began working as sharecroppers. Unlike the rest of her family, Sarah was born free thanks to the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. Sarah's early life was full of hardships. In 1872, her mother sadly passed away. Although the cause is unknown, it was most likely from cholera. Just a year later, her father also died. She was just 6 years old and was now an orphan. Following this, she went to Vicksburg, Mississippi, to live with her older sister, Luvenia, and her brother-in-law, Jess Powell. She was as young as 10 years old when she started working as a domestic servant. Sarah didn't receive any real education as a child. The best she got was literacy lessons on Sundays at her local church. She later stated that, "I had little or no opportunity when I started out in life." Sarah disliked living with her sister, as her brother-in-law mistreated her. Because of this, she married when she was just 14 to escape his abuse. Just 3 years later, she had a daughter called Alelia, who was born on the 6th of June, 1885. When Sarah was just 20 years old, she became a widow after her first husband, Moses McWilliams, died just 2 years after the birth of their daughter. Subsequently, Sarah took her daughter to St. Louis, where her brothers had established themselves as barbers. Sarah then found work as a laundress, earning just over $1 a day. When she wasn't working, Sarah sang in the choir of the St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church. She soon became determined to give her daughter a formal education, as well as to become an educated woman herself. So, she began attending night school. A few years later, Sarah started to experience hair loss. This was due to a variety of factors, including skin disorders, harsh products, a poor diet, and the lack of hair washing. To improve her situation, Sarah started to experiment with hair care treatments as well as home remedies. In 1894, Sarah married a man called John Davies, yet they divorced around 9 years later. In 1904, she was hired by Annie Turnbull Malone as a commission agent. The products she sold for her employer were aimed at the African American hair care market. While Sarah was working for Malone, she began to develop her own products of hair treatment. She then moved to Denver, Colorado in July 1905. At that time, she was 37 years old. In Denver, she continued to work as a commission agent for a while, but then quit.
Okay, I just wanted to cover her early life. Let me bring back my screen. That video is a little bit lengthy. I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the things going on in her early life. Make sure. Who is Gia PT?
I think that's Gianna.
Oh, Gianna. Okay. So Madam C.J. Walker, I mean, we just saw the first couple of minutes. I wanted to focus on her early life first. Here's a few pictures of her put together. So the video, her early life, and we'll cover that and we'll come back. So Madam C.J. Walker was able to achieve success at a time in America, at a time when it was very difficult for Black women to thrive. Her fearless determination and ingenuity earned her the title of the first Black female millionaire in the United States. Okay, so this is her early life. This will go with our video that we watched. So was the first family to be born. Her parents were Owen and Minerva, and they were sharecroppers who had been born into slavery. And like I said, even though she was technically born free because of the Emancipation Proclamation. She had all types of issues in her childhood. She was orphaned at 6, said her mother died, then her father died. She married at 14, which I think was a move to get out of the abusive situation that she was in. And she became a widow at 20. That's a lot. I know you guys aren't particularly old, but in the scope of life to had been orphaned at 6 years old, that's hard for most adults to lose their parents. Most of the students, I know I still have my mother, but most people have at least one of their parents still alive throughout their adult life. She lost her parents at 6 years old, which probably made her very determined. Married at 14 and became a widow at 20. So she not only married, but her husband died at 20 years old. So that was some of the barriers that she faced in her early life. Based on what we've learned about Jim Crow laws, about some of the treatment of slaves, what other barriers do you think were in the way for Madam CJ? Remember the time period. It's 1867. It's like literally 2 years after the Civil War. Do you think that people were walking around giving particularly women of color or men of color opportunities at that time? Come give me some feedback. What do you think? I'm not doing all the talking today.
What you say?
I said, considering the fact it was 1867, okay, her parents were technically slaves. The barriers that were in place for her, we learned about Jim Crow, Emancipation Proclamation. Do you think that there was anyone back then who was just walking around giving opportunities out to people of color?
No.
Are there any today? Let's put it that way.
No.
No. So she had to do this on her own. I know that we've all probably been through some type of hardships, but I think it probably pales in comparison to the hardships that Madam C.J. Walker went through in her early life. To be orphaned at 6, to be married at 14, to be widowed at 20. I would assume that would build some definite resilience in her as a person. This article down here is another one for you. It's just a hyperlink. You can read that if you want to. It's just supplemental. It's also be on Summit in the resources. I've got to look at the Summit too. That's something I wanted to do. Why did I not put that on there? You know, I need to do a Summit check-in. All right, let me pause this for a minute. Summit real quick. I forgot to do a Summit check-in. Is there anyone who does not have the code for Summit? Oh my God, stop whining. Go. Does anyone not have the code for Summit? That question is relegated to you, students, not me. Is there anyone that does not have Summit, that's not set up? There are 2 checkpoints on Summit. Zaire, Amir, Alicia, is that Gianna? Do you guys all have Summit loaded?
Yeah, bro.
And Zaire, I think I did receive your checkpoint 1. We have checkpoint 1 and 2. I'm not going to give you a new checkpoint over the break. Over the break, I would like you to finish checkpoint 1 and 2 if you have not. The first one was Jim Crow laws, and the second one was abolitionist. So
So you want us to get that John? You want us to get that John done over the break? You said.
Mm-hmm. The second checkpoint, I'll just pull it up real quick. It has to do with abolitionists. It was the presentation we did on John Brown. Here it is. And I think there's 4 questions. So let me just show you what those are real quick so you know for the break. So this is your checkpoint 2. I think some people have done this. I'm not sure. I have to check Summit. But for checkpoint number 2, you're going to define an abolitionist. You're going to name one of the abolitionists, whether it's Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, John Brown. Why am I drawing a blank here now? We have a couple abolitionists up here. Sojourner Truth, Lucretia Mott, David Walker, Harriet Beecher Stowe. You could also add Walt Whitman to that list if you wanted to, because they're influenced after John Brown's death. So you're going to name an abolitionist. You're going to defend, you're going to take a position on John Brown, whether or not his actions were right or wrong. I want you to defend the position. I just don't want you to put John Brown was right. I want you to put John Brown was right and why you feel that John Brown was right. Defend it using evidence. Let's go back to where we were. George, any questions on those 2 checkpoints before we go on the break? Okay, I'll take that as we know.
Do you have I forgot to go to do you have what's that? Do you have at the school what you call it?
What is it, Quay?
Do you have at the school lab?
At the school?
Do you have labs at the school?
Yes, I have lab from 1 to 3 every day.
That's the same link for your class?
The same link, and it's always open. Sometimes you might have to just yell my name because I might put I might be working on other stuff, but I'm in there. You should see my name. It's usually muted and turned off, but I'm there. Just if you say my name, I'll come right on. If you want to do that this afternoon, Quay, we can. Anyone else who needs any help with that, just let me know. Okay, so the Walker system. I did some research on the Walker system. Some of it I found online. Some I had to read in other places. I was familiar a little bit with Madam C.J. Walker when I taught 7th grade. Each year I have them do for Black History Month, like Relisha was saying. I have them pick one of the, a successful person in Black history and do a report on them. So I've seen her name before. Some of my girls did like to do her. I can't remember the other one. That was a scientist. What was her name? She was a scientist. And she did something with blood. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I think she was a scientist and she did something with blood. I can't remember her name. It may come to me while we're going over it. But that was like 2 of the girls' favorites to do. Okay, so the Walker system. So Madam C.J. Walker was dealing with, they said in the video that she was dealing with hair loss because of diet, lack of washing hair. A couple of different factors was causing her to lose her hair. Now I know that probably more for women, it's important to, have their hair. I've been around my cousins my whole life. I've seen them in the chair for hours and hours I've seen the glue put on with the do-rag. I've seen the braids for hours. I've seen the sew-ins, pretty much everything that we have now modern for women's hair, in particular Black women's hair. But back then they didn't have all those synthetics, the wigs, the weaves, the sew-ins, all those type of products as an alternative. So most people had to wear their hair naturally. So I'm sure that this has some type of psychological effect on her. She had a scalp disorder, which caused her to lose much of her own hair. So she decided, she had an entrepreneurial spirit, which means she saw a problem and there was no other solutions for it. There was no other solutions for the problem. If there was something on the market that would have took care of this problem, she probably would have simply bought it. One thing about being an entrepreneur is that you take that opportunity to step in when you see it. Most entrepreneurs would say, if you need a product and it's not there, create it. Create that product, find that market, create it, and get your money from that. So Walker's method, known as the Walker system, included scalp preparations, lotions, and iron cones. And this is what I was talking about. Her custom pomade was a wild success. While other products for Black hair are largely manufactured by white businesses, this is what I was talking about, the pre-existing products were on the market. She differentiated hers by emphasizing its attention to the health of the women who would use it. So she used business techniques. She is catering to the group that she is trying to sell to. She sold her homemade products directly to Black women using a personal approach that won her loyal customers. She went on to employ a fleet of saleswomen to sell the product, whom she called beauty culturalists. So Walker used her ingenuity and drive to promote her own brand. This is entrepreneurship. So the definition of entrepreneurship that I would like you to use is, we put actually both, Zaire said a little bit and Quay said the second part, which was the activity of setting up a business or businesses. So that's correct, Zaire. And taking on the financial risk in the hope of profit. That's the definition I'd like you to remember. Taking on financial risk in the hope of profit. The new business opportunities have encouraged entrepreneurship on a grand scale. That's just using the word in a sentence. So quick question. If you were going to be an entrepreneur in today's market, what type of business would you start? If you had an opportunity to start a business right now, what type of business would you start?
My own restaurant.
In COVID times?
Yeah.
Really?
Clothing line. I know that's what everybody doing, but I don't gotta leave the crib.
Okay. Let's look at these two choices. You said a restaurant, Quay?
Yeah, what you mean? It's gonna be online. It's gonna be just like DoorDash and everything else. It's gonna be delivery. What you mean? I'm not gonna just because it's a virus. I'm not gonna let that stop me from making my money. No.
Well, you have to remember that the second part of entrepreneurship is taking the risk in hope of profit. So I'm not saying that your business won't profit at this time. Just looking, I would say examining the market and what's on a need. You know, you already have, like you said, we have these monster places like DoorDashes, Uber Eats, and all those places. They're already established. Starting a business in the food service industry right now, um, would be difficult at best. I'm not saying you couldn't do it, but it would be difficult given the current situations. Now, any other time, it'll probably be profitable. I think restaurants are like the
That's
high.
why you start off small. Like I didn't say like I'm just saying in general. Like
Yeah, I know. I'm just stating some facts that I think that like restaurants are like have the highest fall off rate after like a year. So like if they don't get started like in the first year, they tend to fall off. It's just competition. Zaire said clothing line. And who would you? Okay, so Quay, would you have any particular like we call a target audience? Would you have a target group of people? Like what type of food would you want to sell? Who would be?
it's gonna cater to everybody: pescatarians, vegans, vegetarian. It's not gonna just be for people who just eat meat. It's gonna be for everybody.
Okay, so a pescatarian, what's it, a fish person?
A pescatarian is a probably who eat fish,
They eat fish.
seafood, stuff like that.
Okay, so you would try to cater across the board to a larger scale palette, basically.
Yeah, because you got a lot of people. First of all, you got a lot of people in just in general that just or not. I'm not. Yeah, like I said, like it's just gonna be kept to everybody. Because you got a majority of people that eat what they eat, and then you got other people that don't eat food. I mean, don't eat like seafood or that's allergic or can't eat this. Like I'm gonna make sure everybody is accessible to everybody needs, not just yeah, everybody like fish and chicken. Is that no?
Okay, so you're looking to cater to all palettes, right? I have a question then. Where would your location be? Because you have to have a physical location for a restaurant. That's one of the things about a restaurant. You have to have a physical location to make the food. So where would you think you would place your restaurant at?
I'll buy one of these abandoned houses in North Philadelphia, fix it up and tear out what I need to tear out and have it out of there.
Okay, cool. Zaire, how would you market your product? Would you go strictly online? Would you try to do a physical location? Would you try to do a hybrid?
Nah, at first I try to look for my look. What you mean? Like,
Like, would you
like
have a physical place where people would buy the clothing, or would everything just be strictly online?
no, I ain't gonna start off like that. First, I'm gonna build up to try and get it in the stores. But first, I'm gonna be doing little drop offs in the web. You know, whatever they want, I go drop it off to them and all that. But and then I build it up to start making the store, and people start coming in there and start buying them.
Okay, cool. So both of it, from what I hear from both students, is there anybody else that I don't want to keep everybody else out? I don't know. Amir, Alicia, Gianna, if you were going to start a business, What type of business would you start? You can put it in the chat. As I wait, okay, I see one come up real quick. Okay, so Amir's on the same type of thing, clothing line. Seems like everybody wants to start a clothing line. So what are the factors that you would have to have? What's the one thing that you would have to start a business? There's one thing that you must have.
One, you need to have a business plan. That's one.
Okay, that's very important. But there's something that you must have, though. Look in the chat.
Hold up, my telephone. Hold on, Tim. I'm going to come in and come back out.
Okay. Can anybody else see that word there? What does the word capital mean? It doesn't mean like a state, place, or building. What does capital mean in the business world? Capital is the one thing you must have. Use your logic. If you're going to start a business, what do you have to have? Are the people that you pay to distribute this product or this advertisement, are they going to work for free?
No.
Okay. So what do we need?
We need money.
We need money. Exactly. Capital. Capital is an initial investment. You need an investment. You need someone to give you money. If you can't find someone, a lot of people have to do it to themselves. You guys are probably a little bit younger, but do any of you students know who Master P is?
Yeah.
Okay. Master P, he put the E in entrepreneurship. I remember back in the mid 90s, Master P could not get his own record label started. Master P actually sold CDs and mixtapes out of the trunk of his car. Outside the clubs, outside, this is a different world. Outside the clubs, outside the in the neighborhood, he went from selling CDs out of his trunk to owning No Limit Records, which at one point was probably one of the strongest and the most wealthiest record labels of all time. So he went out, he sold stuff out the trunk of his car. I used to have a cousin who used to sell. It's funny, my cousin's name is Carice. He used to sell incense and oils back in the day on the corner. He had his CDs, little incense.
My dad used to do the same thing. He Muslim, well, I'm Muslim, but he on every app, he used to sell movies, CDs, and all that, and incense and little oils. That's how he used to get. It used to come with cheese though. Like it used to come with a lot of money because after a while, everybody started knowing him, and he used to be like everybody's CD man, and like they'd call him. That's how he gets cheese.
I'll do the same thing. I'll go see my cousin, like, let me get a mixtape, $5 Egyptian oil, and some incense for the crib. And if you got that $15, $17 from every person that's coming in, you got your little stand. The reason I was bringing him up on, because now he has his own business. He went from selling incense and oils on the corner to running maybe he's making $200,000 a year now. He works as a landscaper, and he started his own company. He actually sells. Are you students familiar with CMOS?
Yeah.
Yeah, he started he put on Facebook the other day that his CMOS business had actually paid for his daughter's college tuition.
Yeah, that shit ain't my fault. That's not cheap.
No. But on top of having the business in his own life, he started to get my cousin. To be honest with you, my cousin ended up doing. My cousin did 3.5 years in the feds for selling keys. That's he went the wrong way at first. He was selling drugs. But when he got out of jail, he got his life right, got married to a decent woman, he had his kids already, but he went from selling incense and oils to a jail cell to now having a beautiful home, multiple vehicles. He all fat now, he used to be skinny, he all fat and healthy and, but he used the entrepreneurship and he took that spirit and no one gave it to him. And I'm proud of my cousin for what he's able to have done. I would say that even with all my education, I still have not been able to catch him with his entrepreneurship. And that's a heck of a statement to say because my capital is $130,000. So
what you just say?
My capital, my personal capital. Remember, as a teacher, I'm investing in myself, right? So I'm in my product. So in order to be able to teach, I had to go to school for all these years to get a master's degree. Well, I chose to get a master's degree. You don't have to have one. I chose to get higher than a bachelor's. But my investment cost me $130,000. So right now in myself, in my business, myself, Jaron Townsend, I have $130,000 invested in myself. The goal is I take 3 more classes. As a principal, I know I can make over $100,000 a year easily. And then within the first 2 years, pay back all my loans and then have profit from 44 to the rest of my life. And that's only a year from now. If I find a partner or a wife that makes just as much, we put our money together. Sammy, how you doing? I see you come in. We could be at almost $250,000 a year. So I am investing in myself as a product. I have my own business. I have an LLC. I created an online tutoring service where when I'm not with you guys, I work with other kids online right through my house, and I charge rates accordingly. So I get paid from this job every other Friday, but I get myself paid every Friday. Because when I'm not working here, I spend 20 hours a week in the field or on the computer working. So I make my money for myself through my own business. That's why I asked you guys, what would you do? You got to feel the market. You got to see what's out there. And sometimes the market is simple as, I'm telling you, I know guys that sell white tees, socks, household products. I mean, just small stuff on the corner, and you can make some money. The problem with some of that stuff is your taxes. But I know at the end of the day, most people aren't worried about taxes. By the way, if you ever wanted to do something like that, entrepreneurial in Philadelphia, all you need is something called a solicitation permit. I think that may be like $60 or something like that to be completely legal, just to stay on the corner. So that's just some thoughts about entrepreneurship. So this is the pomade, okay? This is Madam C.J. Walker here on the front. The price is 50 cents, which I know doesn't seem like a lot right now, but I'm sure that in 1906, let's gauge for inflation, I would say that would be maybe a $5 to $10 product. Sorry about that. A $5 to $10 product, 50 cents back then. So she was making this pomade. And so she moved, imagine this, she moved to Denver, Colorado in 1905 with just $1.05 in savings in her pocket. So she didn't have much capital to begin with. Her products like Wonderful Hair Grower, Glossine, and Vegetable Shampoo began to gain a loyal following, changing her fortunes. So once she started to cater to her market, like what Zaire Amir said, who would be your market for selling your clothes? If you're going to sell clothes, who would be your market? Would your market be older people, younger people? What would be your market? Who would be your directed market? Zaya, you still there?
Yeah, bro. What you say? Who's gonna be my market?
I said, who would be your targeted market if you're for your clothing line that you're creating? Who would be the target buyer?
And you said older or younger. That's what you said?
Yes, or would you do for everybody? What would be your like?
Oh, for everybody. I want to just do it for the. Yeah, I do for everybody. Babies and all that. You know, babies want to drip out too.
Okay, so you going from the cradle to the grave, basically.
Yeah, bro. I'm
Putting
doing
out your whole
everybody.
product.
Yeah, because I think doing everybody get you more money. If you only got younger, then you ain't really getting money from just doing one thing.
Okay.
So I think by me extending it out and doing babies, toddlers, all that, teenagers, and all that, I get more.
Okay. You actually you explained the word. It's called diversifying. You're not just going for one market, you're going for a diverse market. You're going for more than one. Because like you said, the more people that you can sell to, the more people you can make money off of, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So Madam CJ, she grew, she had her wonderful hair grower was like the big product. But she had more. She had Glossine, she had vegetable shampoo. So she developed more than one product, even though it was a hair loss pomade and a regrow. She still made more than one product. So they ever hear that saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket or chicken in one basket or however it goes. We don't want to just narrow down to one specific thing when you want to be an entrepreneur. I know this sounds more like an economics business course today, but I'm trying to give you some information that if you ever think about being an entrepreneur, so you'll have at least a baseline idea of what's needed while teaching about Madam C.J. Walker. So Charles J. Walker, this is where she got her last name from. He moved to Denver in 1906, and they were married soon after. At first, her husband would help her with marketing, advertising, and mail orders. But as the business grew, they grew apart and the two divorced. So marketing and advertising are a huge part of entrepreneurship. You have to show people your product. In today's world, we use different mediums. They didn't have television back then. They didn't have an internet. Today we go TV, we do online. Believe it or not, actually mail, I didn't believe this, but stuff through the mail still actually works. There's a small group of people that still get their things through the mail. Correspond through the mail, buy things through the mail. When I was a kid, I know you guys are young, but have you ever heard of Eastbay? Probably not. When I was a kid, what's that?
What you say?
It's something called Eastbay.
That's like eBay.
No. When I was a kid, like we couldn't get like shoes were regional back then. So like if I wanted like some Jordans, they would only sell shoes in certain areas. Or like if I wanted some Huarache, some Bo Jackson Huarache cross trainers, you couldn't get them everywhere back then. So we literally had to do is take a book. It was an actual physical book. And we go through the book and we find our size and we circle it with a pen. Then we would get our mom to write a check or we put a money order and we would write it out. And in 2 weeks, it come back through the mail. That's how we got new sneakers like that was not available. Today, you could go online and get pretty much anything delivered to you. Even when I was a kid, we didn't have online, so it was a different world. So the marketing and advertising was different back then. So we had to do mail orders just like they did then. Now we could use the internet. Why is marketing and advertising important in starting a business? Does advertising work?
So does it work?
Mm-hmm.
What advertisement?
Mm-hmm. Advertisements, do they work?
Some of them, yeah.
Have you ever been sitting around and you hungry and then you see the commercial for the hamburger and it got the lettuce flying on top with with a tomato, and all of a sudden in your mind, you're like, you know what? I'm hungry. Let me go get a sandwich from Burger King or something like that after you've seen a commercial. Question. How many people, all right, yeah, I'll change it. How many people use social media?
Everybody use social media.
Everybody. When you go to watch a video on social media, what do you usually have to skip through or watch? An ad. So what is the product on social media? What are they selling on social media?
It's a lot.
Okay. But when you go on social media, do you pay for social media?
No.
Okay. So you're not paying for social media, which means you're not putting any money in, any capital in. You're seeing a lot of advertisements. So what's the product that social media is selling?
A lot of people be, what you saying, like, would be on it?
No, I'm asking, how does social media make their money? These Instagram, Snapchat, all these Facebook, how do these?
By, again, the total amount of downloads? That's what I think.
Okay.
Are you saying the person that made Instagram, how they get their money?
Yes.
Yeah, but us all being on it, and there's a lot of people being on it that's building his money up.
Okay, you figure it out, Zaire. If there is no product for sale, good, Sammy. They said they get money, main promotion. Yes, they get money for advertising, but the main thing with social media you have to remember is, if there is no product for sale, you are the product. I'm gonna say that again. When there is nothing for sale on social media, when you're not buying it, you're not buying a product, you are the product. If no one posted on social media, how would they get advertisers to pay? So Instagram and Facebook and all these businesses are making money off of you. You're the product. Every time you post something, every time you hit a link, every time you put something, they're selling you guys. That's what they're selling. They're selling your life. That's what social media is. And in turn, the advertisers say, well, there's 450,000 people watching this video. Or it went viral, there's 2 million people watching this video. Well, the advertiser says, we're going to throw 30-second spots in for our advertisements so they can watch the video, because they're going to want to watch the video. So in the modern world today, there's something called the social dilemma. You want to watch that on Netflix, you'll find out about social media. And most of the people that made it actually regret making it. It's you. You're the product. I hope that doesn't ruin anybody's take on social media. But when you're going on there, you're not going on there to look at a particular product. You're going on there to look at other people's lives. So that's what they sell. So naturally, with everybody who gains success is going to come through some type of hardships. There's no way around it, especially with her in her situation, Madam CJ being a Black woman in a time when it was not prosperous. I remember she gained the first title of a millionaire, but you have to understand during that time, a millionaire could be equated to a half billionaire today. Let's put it that way. So the money wasn't the same. In 1908, Walker opened a beauty school and factory in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, named after her daughter. In 1910, she moved her business headquarters in Indianapolis, which is in Indiana, a city with access to railroads for distribution and a large population of African-American customers. So she moved to a spot where she was accessible to sell her business, and she moved to a spot that her customers were nearby. Her customers were right nearby. So the internet has changed the dynamics of business. Now we can sell anything from anywhere. It doesn't matter where we are. But at the height of her production, Madam C.J. Walker employed over 3,000 people, largely Black women who sold Walker's product door to door. That's quite an achievement, especially in 1910 and 1908. I don't even know many businesses today that employ over 3,000 people at a time, unless they're like corporate giants. We're talking about, oh, excuse me, we're talking about regular people. So she had this group of beauty culturalists that sold door-to-door products. She became one of the best-known African Americans, and was embraced by the Black press, which means that during that time, she was more of a celebrity. If you're in my other class, you're talking about celebrities and their influence. The success of her business enabled her to live in homes that were a far cry from the ones she had grown up in. And her Manhattan townhouse became a salon for members of the Harlem Renaissance when her daughter inherited in the 1920s. Walker's country home, Villa Lewaro, in Irvington on Hudson, was designed by Black architect Vertner Tandy. This is also another article for you to read. I did have a clip from, how many students have Netflix?
Who's having got who?
How many of you guys have Netflix?
Who?
Well, I was going to show a clip from Netflix. The problem is every time I show clips from movies or something like I did last week, the YouTube copyright people won't let me put up my video for class. But there is a movie called Self-Made. It's on Netflix, and it's about the life of Madam C.J. Walker. I believe she's played by Octavia Spencer in the movie. Let me see. Yes. Okay. So that's actually from the movie. That's not Madam C.J. Walker. That is the actor who portrayed her. I just want to stop for a second. I want to see where we are at time. Okay, 11:02. So unfortunately, Madam C.J. Walker died on May 25th, 1919, at the age of 51 of hypertension. Very young to die. I know that you guys probably think like 51, that's old, but it's really not that old in the scope of life. She could have lived longer, but unfortunately she had hypertension. Her plans for her Indianapolis headquarters, the Walker Building, were carried out after her death and completed in 1927. Today, she's remembered as a pioneering Black female entrepreneur who inspired many women with her financial independence, business acumen, and philanthropy. Philanthropy is giving back. We just talked about her mansion, 34-room mansion. Imagine going from $1.05 in your pocket to a 34-room mansion. That's definitely motivation. And this was just something I added here. Talented entrepreneur with a knack for self-promotion, Walker built a business empire, at first selling products directly to Black women, then employing beauty culturalists, those were the door-to-doors, to hand sell her wares, the things that she made. The self-millionaire used her fortune to fund scholarships for the women at Tuskegee Institute and donated large portions of her wealth to the NAACP, the Black YMCA, and other charities. So Madam C.J. Walker was a pioneer, she was an innovator, and a Black female entrepreneur. And there was really nothing I could put that would encompass her inspiration. So I just put Walker has inspired countless generations. She's just been there as a figure to look to. Okay, so let's do some review. So Madam C.J. Walker opened the door for other Black entrepreneurs to be successful in American society. She was a trailblazer. I don't know why this terminology stays with me, but she made her own way. That's what somebody who's a trailblazer is. She decided to make her own way. Once again, there's another magazine article here about Madam C.J. Walker. She inspired countless women and other Black people to succeed. She overcame racial and gender barriers to become very successful. And if I had to pick one word for her, it would be inspiration. So in reflection, do the actions and life of Madam C.J. Walker inspire you to chase your dreams? So seeing what Madam C.J. Walker overcame, systemic racism, gender, race issues in America at that time, does she inspire you? Do you doubt? Okay, so the people that said, I asked this earlier, what type of entrepreneurship would you start? The people that said they would start clothing lines or food shops or restaurants catering to different palates, in all honesty, and just be honest with me, do you believe that you would have the ability to succeed? Do you believe in yourself enough?
Yeah.
I knew you'd say yes, Quay. Very confident.
Cause I see it as my story is different from somebody else. Like, I mean, it's how can I put it? Like, when you have enough people tear you down, it's just like you become more confident in yourself. So it's like, why wouldn't I want wish myself to succeed? Because if you got two people telling you you're gonna be a failure and this and the third, why not prove not just them wrong, but prove yourself better than what you're doing?
Absolutely. And that's a thank you, Quay. That's a spirit of, independent thinking, believing on yourself, believing in yourself. Do you think that the things that Madam C.J. Walker went through as a young person, do you think they affected her? Do you think they affected her long term with her success?
Yeah, and though, like it got to where like everything she went through, she had to go through something to get where she got. And everything she went through, she got where she got. Like you said, every success come with hardship. So it's like every time even when you have a business or not, even when you're doing something in life, every time you do something good, it's always gonna be a trial and tribulation, no matter what comes your way. Period.
Absolutely. So nothing's ever gonna be an absolute smooth ride. Whether it's life, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's business, but a lot of it is self-determination, self-belief, and at a certain point, you have to stop listening to what other people tell you about yourself. That's something I had to learn personally. You are just as capable as the next human being. Most of us all have 10 toes and 10 fingers and a working brain. And I mean, you look at people like Stevie Wonder. I mean, there's people who, Ray Charles, they didn't have the use of their eyes. Some people don't have the use of their legs, and they're still able to become successful. So we have to, some of the things that Quay was saying is that determination in ourselves to use entrepreneurship to our advantage, to our own devices. And sometimes going through hardships at a younger age or in a middle age definitely can prepare you for the hardships that come later on. Someone told me something once and I didn't believe them, but I believe them now. And they told me that failure is the best teacher. I didn't understand that at first, but now I do. So sometimes we have to fail. Ahmad, how you doing? Sometimes we have to fail to succeed. So I know it's going to be probably, I'm just going to put it up. This is going to be our checkpoint number 3 based off of today's lesson. So we want to review these answers real quick in case you go on Summit and you want to respond to some of these. So let's just review it real quick. If you want to take notes for it, now's the time.
So this 3
This is going to be checkpoint 3. Yep.
What was 2 again?
Checkpoint 2 was abolitionist,
Oh, I gotta do that, though.
the life of John Brown.
And let's do all before break, right?
I want 1 and 2 done during break.
All right, let me do this shit now.
I mean, they're all 3 are going to be available. I mean, it would make sense to. Where's this? Where I want to look at the schedule for school. I know I have it here.
She always got something smack this. Like, stop. Oh.
Okay, yeah, because when we come back, we only have week 7, week 8, and then we have Martin Luther King Day, class review. So that whole last week is makeup. So yeah, we'll have. I technically had checkpoint number 3 coming in at week 8, but if we want to do that earlier and get it done, I mean, you have 2 weeks off. You just sat through class. The PowerPoint's available. So I can send this to you. If you want it sent to you, I can send the PowerPoint. But everything for checkpoint 3 is what we went over today about Madam C.J. Walker's life. You're defining an entrepreneur. That's in there. The hardships she faced. We didn't watch a whole video, and I'm glad we didn't because we ran out of time. But there's more to that video. We watched about 6 minutes of it. There's about 13, and that gives her a whole. But I was more concerned about her younger life. Why did she begin the Walker Method? What title did she gain for her accomplishments? What's the title, Ahmad, of the PowerPoint?
Yeah. Not a video. I just watched it.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it out. We'll look at it at a whole. Hold on a second.
All right.
Let me go back to the beginning. Okay, so when you go on so this is how it'll look, Ahmad. And when you go online to Summit, it should say Madam CJ. And it should be a PowerPoint link. I can simply email it to every student that's here.
All right.
So I will send, let me just make sure I have a list here of everybody I'm sending this to. And that way you guys have it for those people that weren't here. That's on them. But if you guys want to get a head start and have this done when you come back, you'll be caught up to week 8 because we really only have 3 checkpoints and then we'll have a closing week.
Can you send me that checkpoint? I mean, the slide. My fault.
I'm making a list right now of everybody's in the room, and I'm going to do the email right now before we leave. That way, I know for a fact that the students that are here have it. All the videos, our links are inside the PowerPoint. All the articles are hyperlinks inside the PowerPoint. So everything is right there what you need. There's nothing, I'm not trying to play any tricks on you. Everything is there for you. So let me get the Gmail. I'm gonna attach this PowerPoint and I'll send it to you guys right now. If you go to Summit and you don't see checkpoint number 3 yet, that means I just haven't assigned it. I will, because I just did this with you guys this morning. So you're the first ones that are getting this. Okay. Okay, so I'm sending this to Ahmad, Zaire, Amir. Felicia. Alicia, what's your last name?
Watson.
Watson, okay. I'm just not seeing you come up for my, so is it R Watson at Yes Philly?
Yeah.
Okay, I added you. Gianna Turner, and Sammy. Okay. Just set of instructions. Okay, so check your emails for me real quick before we go. And just either give me a thumbs up, or let me know that you got it. Okay, so Ahmad got it. Once you receive the email, just give me confirmation that you received it, then you're dismissed. Enjoy your holiday, whatever you celebrate. I hope you have a good time. Relax with yourself. It may not be with as much family this year, but I hope it's still relaxing for you. Okay, once you get it, just give me a thumbs up. You may go. Do checkpoint 3. Thank you,
What
Sammy.
you say to me? Email?
Yep, once you got it, you're dismissed. Just want to make sure everybody has it.
I ain't gonna lie, I ain't get that job.
Bro, I'm gonna be in the lab joint just to verify the stuff that I gotta do. That's cool.
Yep, that's fine. So 1 p.m. I'll see you
I
then.
got you.
There. Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't get it till me.
You didn't get it? Okay. Okay, Amir, thank you. Let me look again. All right. Everybody else got it, but you. Okay,
You got Dr. Dave. Did you feel it?
No, I think I know what I did wrong. When I did the list, I'm so used to I sent it to Keon instead of you. I'm so used to calling you Quay, I didn't put the D in front.
Oh yeah. You got Dr. Dave email?
Yeah, I can send you that too.
All right, thank you.
All right, did you get the PowerPoint?
It ain't come through.
It still didn't come through?
No, hold on. Sometimes I gotta keep refreshing my email. I don't know why. So automatically just pop up.
I get it.
Nope, I ain't get it. I should have to keep refreshing my computer. Like, this shit is on my nerves. Damn. Fucking that ass get crumbled. No, I ain't come through. I don't know what's going on.
Hold on a second. It says it was sent to you at 10:19. So it's only been a minute. So just give it
What
a
you say?
I said it was sent to you at 10:19.